This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is Not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
This is Kristara, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the Sweetest Pea, Kristara!
Hey, hello, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. What is going on with Kristara now?
Yeah, so I'm a wrestler from Montreal, so I've just been wrestling around Montreal, Ottawa, Quebec City, just getting my name out there wherever I can. You can find a lot of my matches sometimes on YouTube. There's a new promotion over here called the Women's Wrestling Syndicate. So they just uploaded all their matches on YouTube. So you can go check that out and see one of mine there.
That's Lufisto's promotion, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And where can we find the Sweetest Pea event-wise?
Event-wise, so coming up, I have a local show. This one's a little bit more underground. So if you're not there in person, there's Battle War. That's located in Montreal as well, but it's one of those ones where you have to only come in person. They don't upload the material anywhere. But besides that, you can catch me in Ottawa at C4 on March 22nd. And that airs on IWTV the Tuesday following as well, if you can't make it.
All right. And where can we find all things Kristara on social media and merchandise?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Kristara. I'm on YouTube at with 2 T's, The Sweetest Pea. I'm working to change that. I need to change that to be the same thing. And you can also find me on Pro Wrestling Tees as well. If you just type in Kristara, I'll be there.
And you don't even have to type it in. All of the links to all her social media and merchandise will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, let's get into it. You work for International Wrestling Syndicate. Can you tell us about your relationship with the company?
Yeah, so it's one of the major companies I work for, but it's also like they have a training school, so it's where I also trained. So it's not just like somewhere I wrestle, right? I'm like pretty involved with, we help set up, we know like what is going on, type of thing. So I just feel very invested, especially with the women's division, because I've just kind of been there to help see it grow and help the other women's wrestlers because we're all from the same school. So that's been a lot of fun.
It's not just a promotion you work for, it's home.
Exactly, right? It's where I go to improve, to learn new things, try new things. Just recently, the last show, I was in my first ladder match. So it's just that type of place where it's going to push me out my comfort zone, but I know it's a safe place to do it.
What was that experience like competing in your first ever ladder match?
I was definitely very scared, but I knew I had something to prove because it was my first time ever, and I didn't want to just be there and not do anything cool. So I was like, well, you know what? Like, I don't know when I'm going to get this opportunity again. So I kind of tried to like do some different things, and I did. And honestly, like, it wasn't so bad. I feel like it's that type of match where it looks a lot worse than it is. But if you do everything safely as much as you possibly can, of course, like you're going to be fine.
I feel like the only issue somebody would face in a ladder match is if you're afraid of heights.
Yeah, which honestly, like maybe at the start of wrestling I would have, but like as you start to like kind of go on the third like rope more and stuff like that and just do different things, you kind of don't think about it as much anymore.
I gotcha. International Wrestling Syndicate is considered, a deathmatch company to a degree. are we going to see the Deathmatch P come out?
Yeah, right, so that's one thing, right? So that's what it's known for, right? So I feel like it's my legacy, but I can't lie. Like, I don't know if I'll do light tubes because that seems I'm a little scared of those. And, a lot of people like doing them, so I can let them have it. But I'll just say never, maybe with the right story.
Well, you mentioned, the other women that are involved in IWS, and you are considered one of the four horsewomen of IWS with Katrina Creed, Dani Leo, and Melanie Havok. Can you kind of tell us about how that maybe came about and your relationship with those roles?
Yeah, so like I said, like we all trained together. We all like Melanie started before me, but when I came, like she was always there at practice, and then Katrina as well. Like she started before me, so we just kind of like always were excited to see each other. And then Dani came along, so we kind of all kind of started sort of around the same time ish, a little bit more spread out for others. So we just feel very connected and like learning together and growing together and finding our characters together. So it just really feels like like that's why we call ourselves that, because the division, like, well, not why we call ourselves that, but, why other people refer to us as that as well, because it was just very much the first time where all these students were coming out of the school and being in the division, because before it wasn't really like that. It was a lot of like outside wrestlers, people like women's wrestlers coming from the States and like from Toronto area, which they were all very awesome wrestlers, but like this is kind of like the first era of like a lot of the wrestlers being trained from the school. And like right now, like the last show, almost every female wrestler on the show was trained at IWS minus like Lufisto. So that was pretty cool.
Let's talk about Lufisto. You've wrestled her 3 times at this point.
Yeah.
The first one might have been an L, but the last 2 have been W's for you. So what does it kind of mean to you to be in the ring with Lufisto? And what did it mean to you to get a W on, such a well-regarded, wrestler?
Yeah, well, like every time that it did happen, those 2 times, it kind of felt like, wow, I can't believe this is happening, because she's definitely someone who I never thought I would get to wrestle, yet alone get to wrestle her 3 times in different places and different periods in my career as well. Like she wrestled me for the first time. I think maybe it was like, I can't remember if it was my first or second year, but I was so new. So I remember thinking to myself, well, I'm not ready for this. And she really like, she brought me through that match and made sure I was so comfortable. And the second time around, I was able to do so much more. And then the third time around, like, like it was just like we were just 2 wrestlers. Like I feel like she knew she didn't have to hold my hand as much. So it just feels cool to like for her to also be able to see that growth and maybe feel a part of it too, because when you face these veterans, you take a lot from it. So yeah, it was definitely very cool because she's someone that I look up to so much. So I'm very grateful to be able to learn from her, especially even more so when she's around with WWS nowadays as well.
Right. So it essentially, you kind of measured your progress from the first time to the last time you wrestled, no?
Yeah.
All right. Now, can you tell us about your tag team partner in Amazingly Sweet, Alex Mays?
Yeah, so Alex Mees is someone who I also trained with. Like, I feel like the IWS dojo is just a place where I've made so many friends. Like, I kind of went in there thinking I'm just going to train, but I found so many people that, like, I share these same interests with, and, we share so many car rides together. So that's kind of how me and Alex became a tag team. Like, we would go train, and we both kind of started training during pandemic era. So it was, like, on and off, like, the schools were closing and opening, and, you were allowed to train in our area at certain points, but then you weren't allowed to touch. So a lot of people were not coming anymore because it was kind of silly. Like, oh, well, you can roll, but you can't physically do any moves. So a lot of people were feeling discouraged. But so our class became very small, and very often the class would be just me, Alex, and some other people, like maybe 2 or 3 other people. So in that time, we became like really bonded because we were these 2 crazy people still trying to learn this dream at the most inconvenient time possible. And yeah, so we just started training together. We bonded, we had a good banter. And one day our coach was like, why don't you guys tag? And he put us together one day at a show, like at IWS. And it was kind of a crazy match. It was like a 4-way with three other tag teams and all established tag teams. So we were kind of like put out there with the Sharks, and we did a good job. And ever since then, like we just kept tagging, and it's been working out really well.
What's a pet peeve about Alex that you just don't understand?
A pet peeve about Alex. Oh, that's a good question. I'm trying to think about one. I'm like, I can't think of any, like maybe something that he can do that I can't. A pet peeve, I don't know. Like, he's just so, maybe a pet peeve about him is that he thinks that he's not capable of a lot of things, but he's the type of person that, like, he's so self-taught. Like, that drives me, like, not drives me crazy, but, like, I wish I could be like that. Like, he could do all these flips, and you would ask him, did you go to gymnastics school? Like, he can do the splits. Did you do stretches for that? No, he just knows how to flip. He just knows how to do the splits for some reason. Just knows how to do all these amazing things, and just cause like he had no background in certain things. So that's just something that always gets me about him.
All right. Now, you wrestled Nicole Matthews, a highly regarded Canadian wrestler, Mae Young Classic alumni. What was that experience like?
So that experience was like, it kind of just happened out of nowhere. Like, I got a message the week of saying, hey, can you come do this match? By the way, it's with Nicole Matthews. Well, I don't know what I was doing that day, but whatever I was doing, it wasn't happening anymore. So I was like, wow. And I told myself, okay, well, don't get your hopes up too much, because, anything can change. Like, you can only know that you're actually wrestling her when you're at the venue. And it was honestly a very great experience. Like, it kind of felt like a breakout experience for me, because it was my first time having a big opportunity outside of my like little home at IWS. Like, someone else was giving me an opportunity, and I was wrestling someone that didn't know anything about me. Like, they didn't have my coach to say, well, oh, she's new, like, do this. So I felt like it really brought, in a lot of different eyes for me, because also it was at Mystery Wrestling. So that was some, it's a good place to wrestle, especially when you're so new. So it really helped me. And ever since that match, like, I felt more encouraged, because she's someone that's like, she's easy to play off, right? Because she's been wrestling for so long. So she has a good idea of who she is. So it encouraged me to show more character work as well. And ever since then, like, I felt like I kind of got the ball rolling a little bit more. So I'm really grateful to have wrestled her. And, funny enough that you bring that up is that Saturday, I saw her, and I was able to I was able to go to one of her seminars. She was at a show that I was at with Artemis Spencer, so I got to learn from her even again, and she's just so amazing. Anytime she's around, I'm like, I just want to be on a show with her so I can watch her.
Well, speaking of coaches, you were trained by Speedball Mike Bailey, one of the best wrestlers out there today. You also competed in a one-on-one match with Speedball. What was that experience like going up against your coach?
Well, when you're going up against your coach, like, you just know that you're okay, because they know you better than anybody. They taught you everything, and and you know that they have your best interest. So it felt like, well, it couldn't be with anyone better. Like, I knew I was in good hands, because I know he's going to do everything he possibly can to make sure I'm comfortable, to make sure I don't forget. And yeah, very grateful to say that I got to wrestle him, and I would like to do it again, because I feel like I've gotten so much better since then.
But I mean, those kicks had to have heart, right?
Of course, but and they make you tough. So whenever I wrestle other people, they're saying, "Oh, I'm stiff" or whatever. I say, "Well, that's okay, because I was trained by him, so I was built strong." So I don't mind, because also they might be strong kicks, but they're safe kicks and well-placed kicks. So sometimes you almost prefer that type of kick. Well, at least you're kicking me in the right place. You're not gonna kick my tooth out by accident, because he's so precise.
Now, you may have taken the L to Speedball that day, but you do have a W on him, and that is a W to win the Canadian Jenga Cup Championship. No?
Yeah. Yep. That was the time. That was on Friday Night Speedball. It was a lot of silliness. Oh my god, this feels like a lifetime ago, but it wasn't that long ago. But yeah, it was a lot of fun because honestly, it's like we had to wrestle, but I was more scared about the Jenga part, right? Like I haven't played Jenga in so long, and we had to remove pieces every now and then, so that was like very stressful. But like you said, it came through. He might be a really great wrestler, but I'm a better Jenga player, I guess.
Hell yeah. Take that, Speedball.
Right? I got something on him.
Right. Keeping up on accolades, you were in PWI's top 250 women. You were 223. What did that mean to you?
It was definitely something I didn't expect. Like I'm only like going on 3 years of actively wrestling, so to get like noticed on like a major scale was a big accomplishment to me because my goal was just to have like more matches than I did last year, and then I just had a lot of good matches and a lot of good matches against people like Lufisto, like Nicole Matthews, like Vanessa Craven. So these people really pushed me, and it also helped get eyes on me and open more doors for me, like in places that gave me more chances. So I'm just very grateful for it. But now I gotta think to myself, well, what am I gonna do this year? Because I wasn't expecting that to happen. But now I gotta, kind of keep the ball rolling. Like, what's the next goal? I don't know. I guess climb the ranks a little bit more. But yeah, that was very cool because I'm so new. And also just being from Canada, like you just don't think anyone's really watching or knowing anything about you.
Right. Sometimes it does seem like Canada is its own island on its own sometimes.
Yeah, it really does. It feels, especially with a lot of places, they don't upload their stuff or they don't use certain social media platforms, so it's like it almost doesn't exist.
Right. So what number are you looking at in 2024?
If I can get to get into the hundreds. Like I'm not sure if it's a low hundred or high hundred, whatever it is. Like if I could just climb the ranks a little bit more, that would be cool. Even just to make the list again, because yes, it's like there's that many, but there's so much more people that were on the list. So just to make the list again would be also, a very good goal.
Hell yeah. Now, maybe one of the reasons you did make the list is when you wrestled Ruby Soho in a four-way match with Veda Scott and Melanie Havok. Can you tell us about that experience going up against Ruby?
Yeah, so I was about a year in, and meeting Ruby was very good experience because sometimes you get nervous to meet someone that you look up to that you've watched for years, but she was so nice. And honestly, I still remember that day, like when we walked out and her music played, hearing the whole, like it was at one of our biggest venues at IWS. It's called the Olympia and it's downtown Montreal, but like everybody there was singing her song and I literally had goosebumps. I was so scared. And I remember like she was very nice and we had good chemistry, like the match went really nice, but just hearing how into everything, like people really wanted to see her win and we're so excited for the match. And I remember when I went backstage after the match, like I felt like I kind of can finally breathe. Like, well, I kind of lost my breath almost. Like I was kind of almost hyperventilating because I was like, whoa, that was like what an extreme feeling. I never felt something like that before. Like it was definitely a big rush because yeah, that's really crazy that she came to Montreal, let alone IWS. And let alone I got to wrestle her as well.
And I mean, after the match, her and Veda raised your hand. They gave you that acknowledgement.
Yeah.
What did that kind of mean to get that stamp of approval?
It definitely meant a lot because people like them, they don't have to do those things, and it can mean so much to just have someone like that vouch for you and say like, she may have not won, but like she did a really good job. So it really means a lot to me because a lot of people, they don't have to do these things, but like I said, just putting in that one good word or raising my hand or doing something like that, it might catch someone's eye or open another door for me. And they don't have to do that. Like they get nothing from doing it. So it's very nice of them. And also like just them being nice to me, of course, makes me just want to spread that niceness. So, the next person that comes along, I'll like pay that forward as well. Like it just creates like a, just like a nice environment where everyone's just wanting to help each other.
Now, you were backstage at Raw and SmackDown. What was that experience like?
It was very cool to see just how everything works. Like, I've been there so many times as a fan, but just seeing all the people that make the show happen, see all the stars backstage, see them like rehearse. Like, it's a very impressive thing that they have backstage. So it's cool that they let workers come and experience that. Sometimes some people might get used, but just being in that environment, it makes you realize and reminds you of like what you're working so hard for.
Was anybody coming up to you and giving you advice, or was you going up to anybody to get advice?
Well, generally, you don't like to bother people because they're working, but here and there, people do say something. Some people might sit down with you for a few minutes, but they're so busy, like they show up and they often don't know what they're even doing. So you generally don't want to bother them, but everyone's always very nice.
And I mean, the real question here is, how was catering?
Oh, it was delicious. I always go for the salmon. Like, I love the salmon. It's always so good. And one day, there was one time there was jerk chicken. Like, they're just
Ooh.
they've got a good thing going on there.
All right. Now, keeping up on, incredible things you did, you teamed up with Jody Dredd, to take on Dream Girl Ellie and Veda Scott once again. What was that experience like, teaming up with quite literally the most hard-hitting women's wrestler possibly of all time?
Yeah, that was pretty cool because I was not expecting that to happen. Like, I was just sort of trying to just get on C4 shows, and then I started to do them a little more regularly. So just to be able to share the ring with someone like Jody, like, she has such like great energy, and that's like another thing where I was kind of saying with Nicole Matthews, like, her being so high energy makes me want to match that, and it brings something outside of me. So just honestly working with her was so cool because, yeah, she's just such a positive vibe, and like the crowd like loves her. So it's cool to like go out there and be with her and see how she does it and how she gets that reaction. Like, it's kind of like you're just learning in the moment as well.
All right. And another, well-respected, known name in the Canadian Indies is Alexia Nicole. What was that experience wrestling her?
Yeah, so I've gotten to wrestle Alexia a few times. I think I only had like 2 singles matches with her, but a few scrambles, a few tags, and honestly, it's always very nice because, like, one thing about her is, like, as good as she is, she's just as nice. Like, she's so easy to work with, and that's often why those people are like, well, you have to be a good wrestler, one, but like just being a good person and being approachable and nice, and that's just what she is. And yeah, I remember the first match I had with her. I was so new, and I didn't feel like I was ready for that, and I was like willing to do everything. But she really made sure we had a match that made sense. And then, like, as we went on, and as I got more experience and wrestled her more, of course, and then we could do a few more things. So it's like I kind of want to thank her for not letting me be too crazy the first time, right? Because it was like, oh, that wasn't the time for that. But now we can do it because now you have a little bit more under your belt and you can handle that now. So yeah, it's always fun to wrestle her because she's just so awesome.
Now, some of the companies you work for, when they put out the results on social media, sometimes it's not in English, sometimes it's in French.
Yeah.
That being said, when it's translated to English, can you tell us why you abducted Katrina Creed?
Stop. That's so funny. I remember when this happened, I was like, I did not do this. I would never do this. Yeah, sometimes things don't translate properly, and you're just like, "That what? What are you trying to say?" And that's funny too, because sometimes when I do promos in French too, like, I can't say things so literally because it doesn't make sense. So no, I did not abduct her. I would never commit that crime. I promise. I promise. I just won the match and I let her go home. God.
Well, I mean, it's crazy to say, but I feel like wrestling is the one sport where you can abduct somebody and it actually be legal.
Right?
Yeah, literally last week, the person I interviewed, his manager got abducted. So yeah, it's that
these things happen. Yeah.
Yeah, things happen.
Okay.
Well, that would be somewhat bizarre. So that brings us to our next segment, and that is Kristara's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Yeah, so first thing that comes to mind, one time we went to New Jersey. I think it was me, Alex Mays, Katrina Creed, and Sexy Eddie. And we're on our way home and we stopped at like a truck stop. And as we went to go look at the view, but then we saw something like this is such a weird experience. We saw something and there's a bunch of trees, but we saw something that kind of looked like a tree, but it wasn't. Like it wasn't a tree. It looked like something else. So I took a picture of it and I zoomed in on it and it was not a tree. Like it looked like something pretending to be a tree. And yeah, like we drove by it and we didn't see anything. So we kind of felt like we were hallucinating or we're like, is it an alien? Like are aliens because we're in New York at that time, are aliens in New York? Like, I don't know. Should we put it online? Like, should we speak about this? I don't know. Like to this day, like none of us know what that was, but it definitely was not a tree. But also we were driving home from New Jersey, so maybe we were seeing things. I don't know.
Well, I mean, just being in the car with Sexy Eddie is a bizarre adventure on itself, no?
Exactly, right? You hear some stories, you're like, wow, Eddie, you've lived a good life. You've seen a lot of things, you know?
But yeah, that is very interesting. Is that your only extraterrestrial encounter?
I mean, like, I would hope so. I think it's the only, I mean, hopefully it wasn't actually one, but that's the only thing I can think of. Like, definitely I've watched some, like, movies and then I think I see some things, but that was the only time where I was like, that was not normal. Like, that was weird. So, yeah, I think that was the only time.
Okay, definitely a bizarre adventure to say the least.
Yeah.
Now, can you tell us about your love of The Sims?
Oh yes, I love The Sims. I just like it just kind of goes into like my love for wrestling. It's just like that. You're just living another life. You can make another person. You can be another person, and all this person can be a doctor in 2 days by like reading a book or something or using a telescope. So in wrestling, like if I wanted to be a doctor, I just tell everyone, "Well, I'm a doctor," and everyone believes me. So that's just kind of what I love about Sims. Like it's a nice escape. I've been playing it since I was a kid, and yeah, I just like use all that money and buy all these expansion packs, and my mom can't yell at me for it anymore because it's my money, mom. So yeah, I just like I don't know. That's what I do with my spare change.
You got the you can do the laundry DCL.
Yeah, yes, I got that one, and I actually never use it because why do I want to do my laundry in Sims if I don't like doing my laundry in real life? But sometimes I put it in because I'm like, hey, like people wash their clothes, right? Like it makes sense. It's realistic, but it's not like that. It's not the fun part of life, right?
Well, you do know the story behind that DCL, right?
Oh, what exactly? No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was that was a fan vote. You could either have a wedding Sims and make a wedding between your Sims, or you could do the laundry. And they
Which
voted
is so silly.
to do the laundry.
Like why? Like don't you want to have more of a life experience in your Sims and have weddings? No, we want to do laundry. Okay, guys.
Which is odd because there's like a vampire and werewolf pack as well.
Yeah, I have that one. Yeah, that one's pretty fun. That one makes sense, right? But laundry, it's like looking back, I'm sure everyone that voted for it was like, we made a mistake because like it's not something like it doesn't have like what does it add to it, right? Like you're just having fresh clothes, woohoo! Like you have clothes on your floor now, which I guess is realistic, but
Well, maybe not your sim because it got hit by a meteor and died.
Yes, yeah, very tragic. That's why you have to save a lot. I've had Sims die from laughter after spending like days on them, just like craziness. But I think that's what happens when you use the telescope too much, like, and because it helps you level up your logic. So I like to do it. I just like send my Sim out for like 24 hours looking at stars, like just to level them up. And yeah, she died because I wasn't giving her a chance. So it was kind of on me.
I didn't even know that that was a feature in the game, meteors.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird things, like a lot of weird ways to die. But yeah, that's one that gets me sometimes, because I forget about it.
So, do you try to give your Sims their best life, or are you the type of person to lock them in a steel room and let them die and then reincarnate?
It depends. So usually I let them have a nice life. Like I, you know, have a nice garden, a nice family. Like I like to have a lot of cows and chickens and stuff like that. Like I have like a farm usually. But sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I'll kill a sim or two. Like if I need it for something, or maybe I have I don't know, like, but not often, because sometimes it's a lot of work. So you're just like, maybe it's better to just let it happen naturally. But yeah, I can't lie and say I haven't like locked somebody in the room and like taken everything from them. Like I've definitely done that on Sims, not in real life.
Now we know what happened to Katrina.
Right?
Alright. Can you tell us about your love of various soups?
Oh yes, it's funny. I actually made a soup today. I made a carrot ginger soup, and I think it comes from my grandma. Like my grandma just loved to bake, which I like to bake too, and she likes to make soup. So it's just something, I guess, like we just had a lot of soups like every like occasion. So yeah, I've been making a lot of carrot soup, but I think my favorite is butternut squash. But it depends on the season. But carrots, like you buy a bag of them, throw them, and then like they're just kind of like good for a while. So yeah, I feel like carrot soup is always my go-to right now, at least.
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever had carrot ginger soup.
Yeah, it's just something I like, where I'm like, well, I always think to myself when I'm feeling a little sick or someone in my house is feeling a little sick, I'm like, well, something with ginger maybe, or like at least a soup, right? But I don't know. I just like ginger as well. Like growing up, like we always had these little ginger candies in the house, so I don't know if that's why I like it. I'm not sure, but yeah. It's also just like the ingredients are cheap, right? And they last long in the house, so I can get like a lot of batches off like one bag of carrots, and sometimes I'll add some potatoes in just for texture. So it's like it just lasts long.
Is there like a soup that you've been wanting to try and make?
Yeah. I'm trying to think, because recently it was potato leek soup, but I actually recently made it, so I kind of finally like accomplished that soup. But if I had to think about another soup that I can make, I don't know, because like I really like just like like I don't like any like pieces in my soup. I don't know, I'm like losing my words, but like I like a smooth soup, but like I don't like anything. I don't know. So honestly, exactly, yeah. So that's what I was trying to think of. Maybe a tomato basil soup. I haven't made that before, so that could be kind of good because you pair it with a nice grilled cheese. Maybe, I don't know.
Has there been any soup that you made that you tried out and you were just like, this is not good?
My soups, honestly, like I'm not to toot my own horn, but my soups are always really good. But like when I go and buy like another soup, like let's say sometimes I'm really desperate, like you had a long week that week, so you just get a canned soup, right? You're at the lowest of low, but you still want something like warm. Like I think it was like a broccoli soup, like the Tim Hortons can, and I think that was one of the worst ones, or it was a butternut squash one, like just any canned soup, because it doesn't nothing compares to something homemade that you've spent hours, like not hours, but like chopping up all the vegetables and hours of it cooking, right? To just like get that nice taste. Nothing compares to that.
And I mean, you mentioned you gained this love and attribute from your grandma.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why you're not a fan of her red velvet cake?
Yeah, that was something where I don't know, like I'm just weird. Like there's just certain cakes that I don't like. Like I love chocolate, but I hate chocolate cake. Like I don't know, like the only cake I really like is ice cream cake, because growing up I'm a summer kid, so I always have an ice cream cake, or like like I like what's it called, cheesecake. I don't know, I'm like very particular. There's just some cakes where I'm like I don't like that, and I love sweets, but like I hate red velvet. I feel like it kind of stems from like when it got like really popular and like just red velvet was everywhere, like with the cream cheese and stuff like that. Like I don't know if that's where it comes from, but it was never a flavor I liked, and I never got the craze.
And I mean, it coming out in a promo was kind of somewhat random, no?
Right? Sometimes things just come to you, right? Like, like someone looks at you wrong and it brings back a bad memory, like, I don't know. It's just the way the brain works, I guess, sometimes.
Well, can you also tell us about your love of sleep and naps?
Oh, it's funny. I took a lot of naps today too. I have cats. Like I have two cats. They're like kittens, and they sleep a lot. So sometimes you just see them like taking a little nap, and you're like, you lay down, and next thing you know, you fall asleep with them. So I don't know. I've always just been a napper. Like it just feels good. You feel like rejuvenated. And I also work from home, so like on my lunches, I'll take a nap because I'm just like a child. I guess I don't know. It just feels good to sleep. So yeah, I'm pro nap because if not, I'll probably get a little grumpy.
Well, that begs the question: how long do you have to nap for it to be an actual sleep?
Yeah, I feel like anything under like an hour, like I don't know if that really counts because like, it takes a while for you to actually fall asleep, like you said. Like half the time you're probably just like laying there with your eyes closed. So I guess my minimum would be an hour. I don't know, that's just my best guess.
Well, I mean, some people say anything under the 8 hours you're supposed to get is considered a nap. So you could nap for 6 hours.
Okay, I don't know about that because I feel like most people sleep 6 hours, right? Like most people don't get 8 hours of sleep because they're just like doing whatever they're doing. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I ever had a 5 hour nap because if anything, like having a like one of those longer naps, you almost feel worse when you wake up and you're like, well, why did I do that? I feel worse. Like I feel like more tired. So I don't know.
Hey, this is just a conversation I had about naps and sleep. And if you want to know the full story, I suggest you talk to Mars the specialist because that's where all of this came from.
Okay, I'll have to do that.
Um, when you are taking naps, can you tell us, are you wearing your Scooby Doo socks?
Yeah, I actually have like a really like big collection. Like I've got like 20 pairs. So like I've got long ones, I got short ones, I got ankle ones, I got pink ones, I got blue ones. So like very often I will be wearing them because I've just always been that. I don't know why. Like I kind of went through a phase where I stopped, but I've always liked to have like fun socks. Like you have your like regular outfits, and maybe you're going to work, but like it's nice to just have like a little fun sock. Like I've always just liked to go places and collect socks. So especially when I see Scooby socks, or no matter where I am, or if someone else sees them, like often people will like in my family will buy them for me because they know that I just love Scooby Doo. So yeah, probably sleeping with some Scooby socks.
What can you tell us about your love of Scooby Doo?
Yeah, he's just like this little goofball, and I just find the series itself, it's very timeless. Like you can watch like one of the 70s, the 80s, and it still like fits. I just love cartoons. Like it's just still a good show, and even the movies, I love the movies, and it's something that me and my fiance love together too. Like we grew up both loving Scooby Doo, so we sometimes like you don't want to like watch anything too serious. You just want to watch Scooby be a little scared and overcome his fears. And yeah, I don't know, like I remember growing up too, I had the VHS of Spooky Island, and we didn't, like I would rewatch it a lot of times. So it's just like I don't know, I love Scooby Doo.
So you're like a hardcore fan. You go to the 70s and 80s ones.
Yeah, so like whenever I can watch any Scooby Doo, I will. And I even like sometime last year, I went to like a toy convention. It was a wrestling show too, and I went through all the games, and I found this like old school Scooby Doo game. So that was pretty cool too, because that's one thing that's cool about Scooby Doo. It's been around for so long that there's so much merchandise and so many like different takes. Like some takes I like more than others. Like I kind of grew up watching What's New Scooby Doo, and sometimes they like obviously you have to reinvent something that's been done so many times before, and how can you make it different? And some of the more recent like variations of Scooby Doo I might not like as much, but I'll still watch. But like to me, like there's just certain voices that are more iconic to Scooby Doo, so sometimes it can throw me off. Or certain illustrations too, because like I said, like they try to like make it modern or make it different, because like just to attract someone different.
Right. And I don't think anybody necessarily liked the adaptation that was Velma.
Yeah. I honestly didn't give it a chance because I just heard about all the reviews, And she's not my favorite character from Scooby-Doo, so it's not something I would want to watch because, like Scooby-Doo's my favorite character,
Yeah.
But I'm sure some people liked it, I hope. I don't know. At least they try to do something different because, often people, like, we also criticize, like, the people making movies for just doing the same thing all the time, right? So I guess they tried, and sometimes it hits and sometimes it flops, and that's okay,
I mean, it's okay to try something new, but also respecting the material that you're, trying to adapt. And I don't necessarily feel like they was respecting the material.
For sure, and it's also hard to do that for something as beloved as Scooby-Doo because it's been around for so long, so everybody knows, like, no, Scooby-Doo comes from here, like, no, Velma's this, she's from here, like, no, she would never do that, so it's like, yeah, like, you're gonna piss off some people if you're changing something that, like, like, people know really well, like, so it's almost better to maybe, like, make something different if you're gonna change it so off from what it is, because I hate it when people do that as well, like, you're making me think of, what was it, recently, The Crow was coming out, and, like, just seeing the pictures, like, I love The Crow, the movie, and just seeing the pictures, it's like, well, you're going really off to what it looked like, and, of course, it pisses people off, so I know I won't be watching it, or maybe I will, just to, like, see what's going on, but, like, I can see your point, it's kind of like, well, why did you do that? Like, why did you even remake this,
You know what really threw me off with the Crow picture was that there was, like, a face on his chest, and his nipple was one of the eyes.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. It's like, nobody wanted this. Can you just, like, it's just not. It's very distracting. Like, it was just so unnecessary. I know a lot of people were comparing it to Jared Leto's Joker, because it really does look like it. And it's just kind of like, no, this is not what we want, okay? Yes, we want, like, like, someone looking moody and, like, that's been wronged, but, like, not in this way. Like, this is just corny, but I guess this is what they think represents, like, the time or something. I don't know.
I couldn't necessarily tell you myself.
It's like, I don't know what they were thinking, but they tried. I don't know.
Exactly. They tried. And they failed.
Mm-hmm. I didn't see one positive review at, like, the first picture.
And just, going back to Scooby-Doo for a minute, a personal favorite of mine is a pup named Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. My favorite, I'm trying to think of what my favorite is. Growing up, I watched, like, I don't know if this is my favorite, but, like, the movies, I watched Cyber Chase a lot, but that's definitely not my favorite, but I guess it could be because it has, like, all the villains, like, come into that, like, one movie, but, like, my favorite just off nostalgia is What's New Scooby-Doo, because, it has that, like, iconic intro, too. Like, I can't remember, was it Green Day or something? I don't know.
Green Day or Bowling for Soup, I want to say?
So, yeah, it was, like, a band like that, like a pop-punk intro. Yeah. Oh, no, so I'm looking it up now. It's actually Simple Plan.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, for some reason I did not think of Simple Plan because it's just a band I haven't thought about for a while, but they were really popular then.
No, Cyber Chase is my favorite Scooby-Doo movie as well. As a kid, I wore that VHS out to the bone.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yep. Alright. Can you tell us if there's any significant meaning to the back tattoo on your stomach?
No, so that was like one of the first tattoos I got. Not many of my tattoos have a meaning. It's just like I thought it was really cool. I like that. I like spooky things. I like horror things. So it was like there was this artist I really liked, and she does animals really well. Like even more so, she does them even better now. She's actually based in Toronto. Her name's Cheyenne, and yeah, she's just a tattoo artist I really liked, and it was something she did really well. So I wanted to get it done, because I just like art and I like spooky things. So.
How long did it take you to get that one?
I don't remember. Like, this was, like, how old was I? Like, I'm going to show my age. Maybe this was, like, 7 years ago, because it was, like, my first tattoo. So I want to say maybe 4 or 5 hours, but it kind of felt like time didn't exist because it was on my stomach, so I just had my eyes closed the whole time. But, yeah, I want to say 4 or 5 hours, something like that.
So basically a good time to take a nap.
Exactly, right? And it's not too bad. It's on your stomach, so you can kind of just, like, you don't have to worry about your arm moving or your leg shaking from like, just the vibrations. You're just laying down. Yeah.
Well, I imagine it'd be hard to breathe.
I don't remember it hurting that much. Like, but yeah, honestly, like it hurt a little bit, but it was tolerable. Like I got one on my thigh, like my upper, like the front thigh, like that hurt more from what I remember, because that just felt like there's just so many like different things in my thigh, and the skin is much more softer. Like that freaking hurt so much more.
Interesting. Is there any ideas for new ink in the future?
Yeah, so I haven't got any tattoos in a while because now all my money has been going to wrestling. Like I'm always like, oh, I gotta get new pictures. Oh, gotta get new merch, new gear, because it's like, it's so much fun. But I've been meaning to get another tattoo. Like I have one dog tattoo, and I had two dogs at the time. But like, I got one when one died and the other one hadn't died at the time. So I really want to get the other dog on the other side. So because it's just something I've been meaning to do for a long time, but it's obviously not cheap. And like I said, the thigh tattoo really hurts, so it's not something I'm like rushing to do.
Oh, so you do have one tattoo that does have significant meaning to you.
Yeah, that's true, right? Like, so I said there's not much meaning because like a lot of them are just like, oh, I have a strawberry. Oh, I just thought it was cool, like, but I have my dog tattoo and I have one for my dad, and I have one that's like, oh, it was my favorite movie. So I guess that's kind of some significance, but it's not like something like, there's not always like deep symbolism in some of my tattoos. Like I have a frog with like a what's it called? An umbrella. And like that doesn't mean anything, I just thought it was cute,
What tattoo is of your favorite movie?
So the movie Creepshow, George Romero? It's like there's one special, so it's like an anthology, and it's called Father's Day, and it's like this picture, like basically, I'm not sure if you heard of it, but it's kind of like a zombie like special of that one, and it's like the zombie dad, and on the cake, it's the daughter's head, and she has like candles on her head, so it's just one of those tattoos. And what's cool about that tattoo is that I didn't know I was getting it, but it was one tattoo I always said I wanted to get. And then on my birthday or around my birthday, my fiance tricked me, and I was like, well, he wasn't my fiance at that time. It was like, this was a while ago. I just thought we were going downtown, like, oh, we're just going to look for something. And then he just turned into a studio, and I looked into the studio. I said, oh my God, I know who tattoos here. And his name's Dan Gagnon. And he's like one of the most, like, he's like probably the best horror tattoo artist in Montreal. So I was like, I've always wanted to get a tattoo by him. So he just kind of set it up because he knew that I always wanted it. So that was pretty crazy. Like, you just didn't even know you're going to get a tattoo, but my belly was full because, like, he made sure that I was prepared to get it, but I didn't even know. I was like, what the heck? Well, so that's pretty cool, like, memory of mine.
When you do get a tattoo, is it usually from the same person, or like when you do go to somebody else, is it like I'm kind of cheating on my other tattoo artist?
Not, I would say necessarily, because like the tattoo artists I've gotten a lot of tattoos by that person in that period of time or throughout periods of time. But often it's like I'm going to them because they do something very specifically really good. So the girl that did my back, like, she does animals and flowers really good. So I wouldn't go to the horror guy and ask him to do my flower because it's not something that he does really good. So it's like if I'm going to them, it's like they do something really like that I want, and I would never want to go to them and be like, hey, so I know you do sharks. Can you do me a butterfly? And they're like, what? I've never done a butterfly in my life, So yeah,
okay.
It just really depends what I'm getting.
I completely understand that. You want somebody that knows how to spell to put spelling on you.
Exactly, right? If they're a spelling artist, like, you don't want to go to someone that, like, I didn't graduate elementary school or something. I'm like, oh, you're not the person for this, so.
Okay, I got you. Alright. That brings us to the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
The first 3 songs. Okay. Of my movie. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think of a song that would define me. I'm just gonna, like, the first song that came to mind was like I recently because I posted a picture about it the other day. It would be Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba. Like, you know that song, I get knocked down, I
Yes.
get up again. Like that one would really define me. Just because of wrestling, but also like it was a song where when I was like, I don't know, in college, whenever that song came on at a party and we always made sure it came on, me and my friends, we'd go crazy for no reason. It's like this song is not that good, but we loved that song and maybe we just like made it a joke, so that's why we all loved it so much. So maybe Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba.
Okay.
Another song I would say I would have to maybe put my theme song, like my wrestling theme song. I Come Out to Treat 'Em Right by Chub Rock.
Okay.
I love like 80s, you know, like hip hop and stuff like that. The third song I would I wouldn't come out to. I would put on my soundtrack. My goodness, one more song. I'm trying to think. I'm like, you know, someone asks you something, you blank of everything you can think of. The next song, the first thing that comes to mind would be Don't Look Any Further by Dennis Edwards, because that's just a song that I love, and I don't know, it would fit in the movie somehow, I'm sure.
All right. Do you lock those answers in?
Yes.
All right. We are locked in. And it's solitary picks to say the least. All right. Now that we have the soundtrack down, everybody knows you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays Kristara, and you can't say yourself because you are legally obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo. And you can choose anybody. You can choose anybody you like, living, dead, young, old. CGI is a thing. We could make it work.
Yeah. I don't know who would play me. I don't know, like I'm like, do I just base off someone that would look like me, sort of? Like, I don't know, maybe, let's say Zendaya. Maybe she can play me because, you know, she's a great actress, so I'm sure she would kill it. I'm sure she'd be able to wrestle and, like, do some moves. I don't know. She seems like she's kind of that type of person that could just learn anything, so, yeah, she'd kill it.
Honestly, I'd love to see her in a wrestling movie.
Right? Maybe this will be the podcast that, like, she'll listen to it. Someone will tell her about it, and she'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna go try it out.
Hell yeah. Now, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you in your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Right? Okay, so one would be my fiance. So who would play my fiance? I'm trying to think. Oh my god, this is so funny. I don't want to choose someone bad. You know what's funny? Okay, but he doesn't look like him anymore, but growing up, because we've been together for a while, everyone used to compare him to Justin Bieber. Like, he used to have that haircut. So I would have to say Justin Bieber, and he might kill me for that, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. The second person in my movie, maybe my grandma. Who would play her? Who would play a good grandma? Let me trying to think. Like, who would she love? Like, I'm trying to... I'm just gonna say, who would be the best grandma? I'm trying to think. Come on, Hollywood grandmas, think. I want to say her name, but I feel like I'm gonna say it wrong. Meryl Streep? Am I saying it right? Meryl
Streep. Yeah.
Yeah, she would play my grandma for some reason. I don't know. She's the first movie that comes to mind, and I think it's because I recently watched Mamma Mia, and yeah, she would play my grandma. Who else? Third person in the movie. Maybe Katrina Creed is in my movie, and she gets kidnapped because this is my story. Who would play her? Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think. Who would play Katrina Creed? Like, who would kill it? Like, it'd have to be someone very cool, very edgy. You know what? This makes no sense, but I know she really likes Rhea Ripley, so, you know, screw it. Rhea Ripley is playing Katrina Creed. That's what's going on. We got a big budget. You know, she's taking time off WWE, and yeah, that's my pick.
All right. We got Zendaya yelling at Meryl Streep about Red Velvet Cake. We have Rhea Ripley in there. this is for sure a blockbuster. And
Right?
you could pre-order the tickets now. Alright. Now, you are a Canadian from Canada, so I do have two Canadian exclusive questions for you.
Yeah.
The first one being, is Canada's greatest national treasure Ryan Reynolds?
I would say no. I would say Canada's national treasure would be Kenny Omega. And that's a biased wrestling answer.
I don't think we've gotten Kenny yet. We've gotten Bret Hart a lot of times, though.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Kenny would definitely be a national treasure as well. And where is the best poutine in Canada?
Well, obviously in Montreal, because when you go to other places, it's not real poutine. Like if you go to Ontario or something like that, sometimes you use the wrong gravy, the wrong fries. So you have to come to the like real downtown Montreal. You have to go to like a La Belle Province. Like you can't go to somewhere fancy. You just have to go to like something like that has a bunch of hot dogs and and everything's really cheap and you just pick it up and you leave. Like it's not a sit down restaurant, So you'd have to come to Montreal.
Kind of gathered that, because Jessica Black kind of really laid it down for us of why Quebec has the best.
Yeah, because people like I don't know, they just do it wrong. Like there's just a very specific way to make the fry. Like I think sometimes they put some vanilla in it. Like and a lot of places they don't do it right. Like don't get me wrong, they taste good when I go to other places sometimes, but you know the difference. Like if you know, you know.
I gotcha. Now on to the most controversial of subjects. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Of course, I love pineapple on pizza. I used to I haven't had a pizza in a while, but when I used to get custom pizzas, like especially during the pandemic, my favorite type of pizza would be pineapple jalapeno pizza. And sometimes I would put like a garlic sauce on it too. So it arguably wasn't pizza at times, but the times that I got like tomato sauce, it was, okay? So like I'm a big pineapple on pizza type of person because it's so delicious,
Alright, so you are very pro pineapple on pizza.
Very. And if you haven't tried pineapple and jalapeno together on a pizza, you got to because it sounds a little crazy, but it's so delicious.
Depending on who you ask, you might have turned heel on some people.
Uh-oh. Well, it was worth it, If I'm gonna go down, right?
Oh yeah. What's your spirit Pokemon?
Oh, you know what's crazy? I never really played a lot of Pokemon, so I'm gonna be like really lame and just say Pikachu because I don't know any Pokemons. Like I used to sort of play when I was a kid, but I have no memory of any characters. So maybe I just turned heel again.
Well, you're never going to turn heel when it comes to Pikachu. Everybody loves themselves some Pikachu.
Right, exactly, right? It's not like I chose someone terrible.
Like Team Rocket.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. Alright, now we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for THUG? THUG.
I do not.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail. Because a Doug can't spell.
Okay.
We love the late great Tracy Smothers trying to keep the memory alive on the show.
Love it, love it.
Now, weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
Well, they say a good wrestler can wrestle anyone. My coach, he wrestled like, what was it, like a blow-up doll, and he put on a, like Speedball, he put on like a 5-star. So if I can't wrestle a Rock and make a good match out of it, well, then I don't know if I should be wrestling. So you know what? Let's do it.
You would have brought same to your sensei Speedball.
Exactly, right? I gotta do him proud, right?
Well, just for context, there's this wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes. in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
Jeez, yeah, Psycho Mike is so funny. Like, he's often at Mr. Wrestling, and there's things that he can do that no one else can do because it would not be executed the same.
Oh yeah, I think that's due part to him being trained by Harley Race, but I don't know. He's just maybe it's just the Psycho and Psycho Mike that makes him a variable.
Right, I guess so. He's one of a kind.
Oh yeah. Alright. On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I really hope to be being able to wrestle just for a living. Because right now, it's like, you have to have a regular job. But that regular job is just for me to be able to wrestle. So that can be very difficult at times because often, like, especially this month, it's 7 days a week. And that's so hard. It's hard to have time for your family, your loved ones. So if I can really just concentrate on the things that I love, which is wrestling, and just be able to train and get super jacked and super, like, technical and everything I could, that would be the ultimate goal because that's not something I ever thought I could do, but it does feel attainable if I gave everything I possibly can in 5 years, if I could be signed somewhere.
And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about?
Yeah, if there's a match that would show off best that I can do, I'm trying to think because I want to give a match that would be accessible. Because there's some matches, like I said, they don't go anywhere. But if I can think of an accessible match, let me think about it.
Something like on YouTube.
What? Sorry, go ahead.
Something like on YouTube or Facebook, sometimes they have those.
Yeah, so if one of my matches on YouTube, let me check them out because I have a little playlist because I like to try to make my content like I said, it's so hard to find. So if I know there's a match of mine on YouTube, like I'll try to put in that playlist.
What?
Yeah, I guess the most recent match, like I was talking about the Women's Wrestling Syndicate, because that's the most recent match I have on YouTube, but so it's more reflective of who I am as a wrestler. I wrestled Ronnie Payne, who came all the way from Nova Scotia. Like, she drove all the way from Nova Scotia, and people, like, she didn't drive alone, but like she came with other wrestlers, and yeah, it took them super long. So that was a match where you can see a good reflection of who I am as a wrestler because it was a match that happened at my dojo because that's where we held the show. So it just was really a big reflection of everything that I worked hard for and everyone that we all worked hard for. So you can see a good amount of my character and what to expect and kind of some moves that I do as well. So Women's Wrestling Syndicate, WWS Caught in the Mosh, Ronnie Payne versus Kristara. You can find that on YouTube.
Okay. And I will grab that match from YouTube and I will put a link to it in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox for anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to see it, wants to re-see it after this interview.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is our speed round or bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Speedball Mike Bailey.
Worst wrestler.
Worst wrestler. Oh, I feel bad saying this. Worst wrestler. Jeez, who would be the worst wrestler? Top of my head, I'll say Eva Marie.
And that's the correct answer.
Stop.
No, seriously, that's our default answer. For
Yeah.
anybody that doesn't
And
know.
I feel bad. I feel bad because it's not her fault, right? Like,
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Jody Threat.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
I would come out to, I really like Pac's theme song from AEW.
Okay.
Wouldn't really fit, but.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Dead.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast.
Oh, okay.
Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
Vegetable. Actually, no, I think it might be a fruit because they're seeds.
Is that what you're locking in?
I don't know, because I feel like it's a trick question, so yes.
It is indeed a fruit.
Okay, there you go. You didn't get me.
I almost got you there.
You did it, and I thought about it.
New Japan wrestler Taichi, his ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
The appropriate. It's like just no butt cheek showing, but I know people like to have it showing, but like there's none.
Full coverage.
Full coverage.
Gotcha. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
It's really crazy. That never came up. I know I must be the only person. Yeah.
You are definitely not the only person. And that is the correct answer as well. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
And once again, where can we find all things Kristara on social media and merchandise?
So you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, _Kristara. That's Kristara. You can find me on YouTube at The Sweetest Pea with 2 T's. I upload some match highlights there, and sometimes I link matches that other companies have uploaded for me. And you can find me on Pro Wrestling Tees as well.
And you don't have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all of our social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt.
Yeah, you heard him.
And of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Phil on Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews. And follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Thread, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say Wrestling With, you say entertain, okay?
Okay.
For our special guest Kristara, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I am James J, and this has been Wrestling With
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.